We heard it before we saw her. A sound so small it didn't belong in a parking lot. A trembling whimper, high and desperate like it came from the edge of breaking. The day was bright. Portland, Oregon ordinary. Shopping carts rolling, car doors slamming, somebody arguing over coupons. And then there she was, a German Shepherd puppy, black and tan, sitting inside a shopping cart like trash someone forgot to take home. A baby blanket, pink and dirty, half covering her tiny body. A cheap red leash tied to the handle. A note, written in thick red marker, "She's too wild." People passed by, sneakers, heels, strollers, every single one pretending not to notice. The little shepherd pup shook so hard the cart rattled. Lauren's hand found mine. Neither of us moved. She looked 2 months old, maybe less. Ribs showing under the fur, paws raw from trying to climb out. The blanket smelled like detergent and rain. Her eyes, dark honey and terrified, stared straight through us. "I think she's freezing," Lauren whispered. I'm Joe, 41. I've seen a lot of broken things in this world, but nothing like that. Because that wasn't wild. That was fear. Pure, silent fear packed into 10 pounds of trembling life. The cart creaked when I knelt. The little rescued puppy shrank, pressing herself against the metal, expecting pain. I could feel Lauren start to cry beside me, quiet, breathless, and all around us, Portland just kept moving. Doors opening, doors closing, people stepping over Mercy like it was gum on the pavement. I reached for the knot on the leash. She didn't fight. Just looked at me, like she was asking if it was safe to breathe. That day, we came to buy groceries. We left with a broken heart that had fur and paws. Lauren's voice cracked before I even looked at her. "We can't just leave her." Her hand was shaking in mine, eyes locked on that shopping cart. The little German Shepherd puppy was still there, still trembling, still waiting for someone to decide if she mattered. I looked around. A woman loaded groceries into her car. A guy laughed into his phone. Nobody cared. That small shepherd pup could have been invisible, and maybe to them, she was. I felt heat rise up my neck. That kind of quiet anger that burns slow. I grabbed the note, that piece of paper that said, "She's too wild." I crumpled it so hard it tore in my hand. Wild? No. She was terrified. The little abandoned puppy just sat there, eyes darting between us, like she didn't believe rescue was real. Her paws were red, raw, trembling on the metal grid. She tried to stand but slipped, her claws clicking uselessly against the wire. Lauren knelt down beside me, whispering something I barely heard over the noise of cars. "Look at her chest," she said. It was fluttering, fast, shallow, like a bird trapped in a cage. That sound broke something in both of us. I'd seen a lot of broken things in my life. But that little pup, that helpless, trembling German Shepherd dog, she hit deeper. Because she wasn't just scared, she was giving up. 2 weeks ago, we lost our baby girl. We stopped believing in second chances, stopped hoping for anything that breathed. But then this small, frightened, four-legged soul showed up in a shopping cart, shaking under a baby blanket that still smelled like detergent and rain. She was alone in a world too loud, too cold, too careless, and somehow she found us. Lauren reached out first. The young puppy pressed her head against Lauren's fingers like she'd been waiting her whole short life for that touch. No barking, no growling, just trust. Pure, trembling, impossible trust. I don't remember deciding. 1 second, I was kneeling in that parking lot. The next, she was in my arms, so light it scared me. Her heartbeat pressed against my chest, wild and fragile, and for the first time in weeks, ours started beating too. We didn't save her. We just couldn't walk away. She didn't bark, didn't move. Just sat in the corner of the living room, trembling so hard her tiny bones seemed to rattle under her skin. The house was quiet, but every sound, a creak, a sigh, the hum of the refrigerator, made the little German Shepherd puppy flinch like she'd been struck. When I shifted my foot, her whole body froze. When Lauren whispered her name, the young shepherd pup pressed herself tighter against the wall, eyes wide, waiting for pain that didn't come. We tried to give her space, water, food, warmth, but she just stared at the bowl, trembling, too scared to eat, too tired to hope. That small rescued puppy looked like she was trying to disappear right there on the floor. At the vet, the doctor's voice was soft, careful. "She's dehydrated, malnourished, probably mistreated." The kind of probably that means definitely. He reached for her paw and she yelped, not loud, but broken, like her throat still remembered the reason not to trust. Lauren turned away, wiping her face. The vet said she's been through something bad. And in that sterile little room, we both knew he wasn't talking about just her. Back home, the puppy curled into a corner of the blanket. Not the baby one from the cart, we threw that away. This one was clean, soft, something that smelled like home. She didn't know that yet. To her, every kindness felt like a trap. I sat on the floor across from her for hours, didn't touch, didn't talk, just breathed with her. Every few minutes, the small shepherd dog would look up, blink, and lower her head again, like she was checking if the world was still dangerous. When darkness settled, she whimpered, a soft, broken sound, half cry, half question. Lauren lay beside her, whispering nothing, just being there. And in that silence, it hit me how fragile life can sound when it's fighting to stay. The German Shepherd pup didn't sleep. Neither did we. We watched her chest rise and fall, shallow, uneven. Every breath felt like a coin toss between giving up and holding on. And yet, somehow, that tiny shepherd was still fighting to stay alive. Lauren covered the little German Shepherd puppy with a blanket we kept in the closet. I froze when I saw it. It was the same pink baby blanket from the nursery. The one she used to wrap our daughter in. She didn't even notice. Or maybe she did. Her hands moved slow, careful, like she was tucking in something too fragile to touch. The rescued puppy didn't move. She just stared up at us, eyes wide and glassy, her small chest rising in quick, shallow breaths. The same rhythm I remembered hearing through a baby monitor 2 weeks before everything went quiet. I turned away, pretending to fix something on the counter, but the sound came again. That small broken cry. A whimper that didn't belong to a dog or a human, just pain, raw and wordless. It hit me so hard I forgot how to breathe. Lauren sat beside the young shepherd pup, whispering something I couldn't make out. Maybe she was talking to the puppy, maybe to herself, maybe to the daughter we couldn't talk about anymore. I watched the tiny shepherd dog curl into her palm, trusting her without a reason. That blind faith, it broke me, because that's what we lost. Trust that the world could still be kind. I went outside, just stood by the door, pretending to need air, but I wasn't fooling anyone, least of all myself. My hands were shaking, not from cold, from memory. I thought I'd buried that kind of pain. Packed it away with the toys and the crib and the soft pastel walls. But grief doesn't stay buried, it waits. And sometimes it comes back wearing fur and trembling like a forgotten heartbeat. Inside, Lauren hummed quietly. The little pup had stopped crying. She was asleep now, pressed against the crook of Lauren's arm like she'd found something safe, something I thought we'd never have again. I stood there, staring at them. One woman holding on, one puppy learning how. And in that moment, I realized the truth I'd been avoiding. She hadn't buried her pain either, and maybe neither had I. That night, her cry broke something inside me and started something new. She ate at last, just a few bites, from Lauren's hand, like each kibble was a test the world kept failing, and she wanted to see if we would fail too. The little German Shepherd puppy licked her fingers, then looked away fast, as if eye contact could break the spell. Lauren didn't move, neither did I. We let the rescued puppy set the pace, breath by breath. I sat lower on the floor, spine against the couch, trying to look small, boring, safe. The young shepherd pup watched me from the blanket, ears twitching at the heater's sigh, the fridge's click, the soft rumble of a bus outside. All that noise used to be a threat. Now it was just a list of things that weren't going to hurt her. She crept forward an inch, stopped, another inch. I could hear her tiny claws tap the hardwood, careful, apologetic. When she reached my knee, she sniffed my sleeve like it might bite back. I didn't speak, didn't reach. I let the small dog decide if I was worth the risk. Then she did the bravest thing I've seen a living soul do. The furry pup climbed onto my lap, turned twice like a sleepy bird, and folded into herself, all trembling edges softening at last. 10 pounds of heartbeat and hope pressed against my ribs. I felt the young puppy's breath change from frantic to steady, from runaway to home. Lauren exhaled like she'd been underwater for weeks. She slid closer and rested her palm on the shepherd pup's back, a touch that said nothing loud and everything important. For the first time, the little companion didn't flinch. For the first time, the four-legged friend chose us. We stayed like that for a long time, 3 quiet shapes in a living room that finally felt alive again. Streetlights sifted through the blinds and cut the dark into gentle stripes across her black and tan coat. I counted them without meaning to, the way people count blessings when they're afraid to believe in them. Her ears twitched in sleep, chasing safer dreams. I let my hand hover above her chest, not touching, just feeling the lift and fall, the steady drum of a shepherd dog who decided to stay. We didn't name her yet. Names are promises, and our promises were bruised. We'd lost too much to pretend we were fearless. But the growing puppy had already named us in the way that matters: warmth, food, soft voices, hands that don't hurt. I've seen a lot of strange things in this life, and grief makes you think you've seen the last of mercy. But there she was, a brave pup asleep on a stranger's lap like it was the most ordinary thing in the world. For the first time, she wasn't hiding. For the first time in weeks, neither were we. We were still afraid to love again. But love doesn't ask for permission. It started 3 quiet mornings later, a crash in the kitchen, claws on tile, a sharp yelp that turned the air electric. The little German Shepherd puppy had lost her calm. She spun, barking at nothing, teeth flashing at ghosts. Her bowl clattered across the floor. Water ran in a crooked line between her paws. Lauren froze, whispering her name, soft, afraid to sound like command. The rescued puppy only backed away, cornered, eyes wide, breathing too fast. I tried to move slow, voice low, but the small shepherd dog didn't see me. She saw something else, something from before. She lunged, teeth catching air, then dove under the couch, tail jammed between trembling legs. The barking stopped, but the sound left behind, that silence, was worse. "She's too much, Lauren. We can't do this." It came out rougher than I meant, like the frustration had been waiting for a place to land. I slammed the crumpled red note onto the table. "She's too wild." The words looked smaller now, but they hit just as hard. Lauren didn't answer. She just stared at the couch skirt where a pair of frightened brown eyes hid in the dark. "Joe," she said finally, "she's scared." "Yeah," I muttered. "So am I." I could hear her breathing under the furniture, short, frantic, the sound of a trapped thing learning walls all over again. The young shepherd pup wouldn't come out for hours. We left food nearby, a toy, a sweater that smelled like us. Nothing helped. That night, I sat at the table staring at the note, turning it over in my hand until the paper went soft. Maybe they were right. Maybe this abandoned puppy really was too wild, too broken, too far gone. Maybe I wasn't strong enough for another soul that didn't know how to stay. Lauren stood behind me, quiet. "She doesn't know what safe feels like yet," she said. "The kind of yet that hurts, because it sounds like hope and warning at the same time." I looked toward the couch. The furry pup was still there, 2 eyes glinting in the dark, watching, measuring us. I realized she was doing the same thing I was, deciding if it was worth trying again. The red note lay open on the table. The ink faded from being held too long. It said too wild, but all I saw was too wounded. And sometimes, the ones we think are too wild are just too wounded. It was 3 a.m. when I heard her again. Not barking, not whining, crying, the kind of sound that slips under doors and into your chest before you can stop it. I lay there, pretending to sleep. Lauren's back rose and fell beside me, slow, heavy. The house was quiet except for that tiny breaking sound coming from the living room. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Some cries are so honest they hurt without volume. I got up. The floor was cold, the kind that reminds you you're alive. When I turned the corner, the little German Shepherd puppy was sitting by her crate, not inside it. She'd figured out how to nudge the latch open. She wasn't running or exploring. She was just waiting. Ears down, tail still, eyes glinting in the dark like a question no one had answered yet. The rescued puppy looked at me, and I swear, in that split second, I saw it. The difference between wild and wounded. I sank to the floor. Didn't talk, didn't reach. Just sat there. The small shepherd dog tilted her head, confused, then pressed her nose to my hand, trembling but not pulling away. Her nose was cold, her breath hot and shaking against my skin. That tiny, frightened, brave pup leaned closer, not because she trusted me, but because she wanted to believe she could. And I felt that. All of it. "You're not wild," I whispered. "You're just hurt." The words came out like an apology. For her. For us. For everything we'd broken and blamed on the world. She sighed. Not a sound, more like a surrender, and lay down beside me, her little body curling into the curve of my arm. For the first time, the German Shepherd puppy closed her eyes without flinching. I stayed there until the first blue of morning crept across the window. My legs went numb, my throat burned. I couldn't remember the last time something trusted me enough to fall asleep next to me. Lauren found us like that. Me on the floor, the puppy breathing against my wrist. She didn't say anything, just smiled, that tired kind of smile that carries both relief and ache. She whispered, "She finally slept." I nodded. But the truth was, so did I, for the first time in a long, long while. That night, I realized something I hadn't let myself believe before. We weren't saving her. She was saving us. The next morning, she had a name. "We'll call her Tina," Lauren said. It hit like a slow punch, not loud, not sudden, just deep. That name hadn't been spoken in our house for weeks. It used to hang in the air like sunlight. Now it lived in whispers and silence. I froze. The little German Shepherd puppy lifted her head from Lauren's lap, tail twitching once, unsure if she'd done something wrong. Lauren smiled through tears, her hand resting on the pup's back, tracing soft circles into the tan fur. "Now it means hope," she whispered. The rescued puppy tilted her head, the way dogs do when they don't understand words but feel everything behind them. And somehow I think she did understand, not the sound but the warmth that wrapped around it. Tina, a name that once meant loss. Now it meant a second chance. The young shepherd pup wagged her tail, one uncertain wave, like testing out joy for the first time. Lauren laughed through a sob. I felt my chest ache in a way that wasn't just pain anymore. It was something shifting, small, fragile, alive. I knelt down beside them. The little pup pressed her nose against my hand again, the same spot she'd found at 3 a.m. Her fur smelled like baby shampoo and rain, clean, but still carrying the world she came from. Her eyes were softer now, still haunted, but searching less, like maybe she'd started to believe that love could stay. "Tina," I said quietly. Her ears perked, a tail thump, recognition, or maybe acceptance. Either way, it was enough. We didn't plan the moment, didn't talk about it again. It just became real, as if the house inhaled for the first time in weeks. Every sound, every breath, every heartbeat felt a little fuller. That German Shepherd puppy wasn't the stray from the shopping cart anymore. She wasn't too wild. She wasn't too broken. She was ours. A small, breathing reminder that healing doesn't replace what's lost. It grows beside it. Lauren leaned into me, her cheek damp against my shoulder. Tina yawned, stretched her paws out across both of us, and sighed. That deep, safe kind of sigh that fills a room like forgiveness. And just like that, our home had a heartbeat again. Tina learned fast, like her little heart couldn't wait to catch up with the life she almost lost. The first time she ate a full bowl without looking over her shoulder, Lauren cried. Not loud, just one of those soft, proud tears that fall before you can stop them. Our rescued German Shepherd puppy learned the shape of home, one cautious step at a time. She learned that the sound of the fridge didn't mean danger, that doors closing didn't mean someone leaving for good. That hands could reach out and not hurt. She started following us everywhere, tiny claws clicking on the floor, tail wagging like a metronome for hope. In the mornings, she'd sit by the bathroom door until I came out, nose pressed against the gap, her small body trembling with anticipation. If I moved an inch, she was right there, our shadow with fur and courage stitched back together. Sometimes she'd chase the dust motes in the sunlight, leaping like a puppy finally remembering how to play. The first time she barked, it scared her. She jumped at her own voice, eyes wide, confused, then looked at us like she'd discovered fire. We laughed until she started wagging, proud and clumsy and alive. But it wasn't perfect. Loud trucks still sent her scrambling under the table. Thunder made her dig at the carpet until her paws were raw. Every progress came with a pause, every joy shadowed by a flash of old fear. Healing never moves in a straight line. It circles back, stumbles, bleeds a little, then keeps going anyway. Lauren would sit on the kitchen floor, coaxing her out with gentle words. Sometimes I'd just sit nearby, pretending to read, while watching her breathe through the panic. We never pushed, we just waited. And every time she came back a little faster, her fur grew shinier, her eyes steadier, her bark stronger. The German Shepherd puppy who once fit inside a shopping cart was now a growing young dog who filled the house with her energy and noise. I used to think the sound of grief was silence, but then came the click of her paws, the jingle of her collar, the thump of her tail against the couch. Every sound she made stitched something in us back together. Healing was messy, full of chewed shoes, late nights, small victories, and quiet forgiveness. But it was beautiful. Because it was real, because she was trying, and because we finally were too. And then one day, she did something that changed everything. The wind caught the door and slammed it shut, hard. The sound cracked through the house like a gunshot. For a split second, I saw it happen, the way she used to react. The flinch, the scramble, the blind panic, every memory of every slam that came before. The little German Shepherd puppy froze in the middle of the hallway, muscles tight, ears back, tail low, her eyes darted. Door, window, me. And then something different. She didn't run. Slowly, carefully, the rescued puppy took one trembling step forward. Then another. Her nails clicked against the wood. Deliberate, brave, shaky. She stopped in front of me, and then she did something I'll never forget. She walked straight to me and laid her head on my lap, just like that. No hesitation, no fear. Her body relaxed against my legs like she'd been holding her breath for months, and finally exhaled. I couldn't move. My hands hovered over her head, afraid that touching her would break the spell. Her eyes, those same dark honey eyes that once begged for mercy, looked up at me now with something entirely different. Trust. Lauren was behind me, silent. I could feel her crying before I saw it. We both knew what this moment meant. The sound that once broke her now meant safety. The noise that used to send her hiding was just noise. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. The young shepherd pup lifted her head, nudged my chin, tail thumping softly. Once, twice, steady rhythm. I felt the heat in my throat rise and spill before I could stop it. Tears hit her fur, and she didn't flinch. She stayed. "You did it, girl," I whispered. "You're brave now." She tilted her head like she understood, and maybe she did. Because bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to stay anyway. And that's what she did. She stayed. Lauren knelt beside us, wrapping her arms around both of us. One man, one shepherd dog, both rebuilt out of broken pieces. The house felt lighter, not quieter, lighter, like it had exhaled with us. Our Tina was no longer broken. Neither were we. Sometimes healing looks like a scared puppy learning to stay. Months later, the mornings feel different. The light comes through the windows, softer, warmer, or maybe it's just the way she fills the house now. Tina runs in the yard like she owns it. All legs and wind and joy, the kind of wild that isn't broken anymore, just free. Her black and tan coat glows in the Oregon sun, her ears flying like banners of victory. The same German Shepherd puppy who once shook in a shopping cart now races the wind, barking at nothing but her own happiness. Sometimes she stops mid-run, turns back to us, tail high, waiting, like she's making sure we're still there. We always are. Lauren claps, I whistle, and Tina comes charging toward us, paws pounding against the grass, pure motion, pure life. When she crashes into me, tongue out, panting, tail wagging like a drumbeat of joy, I can feel the old ache dissolve a little more. At night, she curls between us on the bed, one big, warm, snoring reminder of everything we thought we'd lost. Lauren laughs because Tina snores louder than I do, and I laugh because she's right. Her paws twitch in her sleep sometimes, chasing invisible things, but she never cries anymore, not once. The house that used to echo with silence now hums with small noises, the jingle of her collar, the thud of her tail, the sound of life moving forward. I still can't believe she almost didn't get this chance, that we almost didn't. Every now and then I open the drawer in my desk. The red note is still there, wrinkled, torn at the edges. She's too wild. I stare at those words and I can't help but smile, because they were wrong. So completely, beautifully wrong. She wasn't too wild. She was too brave, too kind, too alive for the world that gave up on her. The young shepherd dog who learned to trust taught us something no one else could. That healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means rewriting. She taught us how to be patient, how to stay, how to love without a safety net, and maybe most of all, how to believe in mornings again. I keep that note, not as a memory of cruelty, but as proof of what love can rewrite. Every story like hers reminds us, kindness saves lives. I used to think saving meant fixing, patching wounds, feeding, training, but Tina taught me it's quieter than that. Saving is showing up, it's staying when it's hard, it's choosing love when fear feels easier. Our brave German Shepherd puppy became everything they said she couldn't. Strong, gentle, loyal. A little wild, but wild like wind, not fire. She carries the scars, sure, but she also carries our hearts. Every broken piece she somehow put back together just by being here. Sometimes I still see that shopping cart in my mind, the dirty blanket, the red leash, that note, she's too wild. And then I look at her, sprawled on the couch, dreaming, safe, and I realize they were talking about the wrong kind of wild. Because what they called wild was just a spirit that refused to give up. Every time she runs to greet us, tail wagging, eyes shining with trust, I feel it. The miracle of second chances. The reminder that no act of compassion is wasted. That love doesn't erase pain, it transforms it. One gentle hand, one rescued soul at a time. When I tell people her story, I see the same look. Disbelief that something so small, so broken could survive. But that's the thing about survival. It doesn't ask permission. It just happens when someone finally cares enough to try. This little German Shepherd's journey from abandonment to healing showed us what rescue truly means. This little guy's journey from abandonment to rehabilitation shows how important nonprofit rescue groups really are. Caring for a rescued puppy is more than love. It's responsibility. It's pet care. So if you ever see a lost or frightened dog, stop, kneel down, let them know they're seen. Because you never know, that moment might save you too. Tina gave us more than a reason to smile again. She gave us a purpose, to speak for the ones who can't, to remind the world that love, even in its smallest form, can rewrite a life. Join our Brave Paws family. Be their voice. Be their hope.